From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
USDA releasing the fine details of how much farmers will get paid for trade aid.
Our farmers and ranchers work hard and are the most productive in the world, and we aim to protect them.
The U.S. and Mexico striking an understanding. What does that mean for Canada? An analysis, is now a good time to invest in your farm business.
Well, I mean, in ag, there's going to be places that are, ripe for investment for sure on land, but land isn't the only thing.
And all eerie costumes are welcome in this police training for its horses.
AgDay, brought to you by the Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road.
Good morning, I'm Betsy Gibbon. Clinton Griffiths is on assignment at Farm Progress Show in Boone, Iowa. We have two major developments this morning stemming from trade action. First, USDA lays out details of its plan to help farmers hurt by trade tariffs. This plan, first announced 2 weeks ago, promised $12 billion in aid to farmers. Also on Monday, U.S. and Mexico trade negotiators come to terms on a new trade pact, redefining what NAFTA used to be. We begin with tariff aid for farmers. USDA releasing numbers of how much farmers may receive in tariff aid per commodity. The department giving an outline of payments per commodity. Soybeans receiving the largest payment of $1.65 per bushel. However, the payments will be calculated by the payment and multiplying 50% of the producer's total 2018 actual production. USDA saying farmers need to establish they are making under a certain amount, and there is a payment limit as well. The payments will cover roughly $4.7 billion. The rest of the total $12 billion will be dispersed through the other two silos of the plan with USDA, through a domestic food program and towards developing foreign markets.
It's important to note that all this could go away tomorrow if China and the other nations would simply correct their behavior. But in the meantime, the program that we are announcing today will allow time for the President to strike the long-lasting trade deals that will benefit our entire economy.
I don't want a handout. I want free trade, where we've got a market that works. And yeah, I mean, obviously farmers are struggling right now. There's a lot of tough times there. So anything would help, just to get by. But overall, I'd much rather have free trade. And then it also gives us a bad image too, where, you got the people in town saying, your hats are made for your mailbox to go get that check too. So yeah, we just want to produce it and sell it at a good price.
When we asked, do you think farmers in your area will accept a check if given a payment? He said, yes, they'll take it, we'll take it. The U.S. and Mexico struck a new trade understanding. President Trump excludes NAFTA partner Canada in the title. The president calls it the United States-Mexico Trade Agreement. The president says this preliminary understanding could lead to an overhaul of the North American Free Trade Agreement. Much of the agreement focuses on the protection of intellectual property, which did not exist in the 1994 NAFTA deal. Canada, which is part of NAFTA, did not participate in the announcement. Trump says negotiations with Canada have yet to begin and is calling on the country to negotiate fairly. Mexico was one of the largest buyers of American meat and grain. Markets took note after the deal had been announced.
We'll get rid of the name NAFTA. It has a bad connotation because the United States was hurt very badly by NAFTA for many years, and now it's a really good deal for both countries, and we look very much forward to it.
Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto says he hopes Canada will soon be incorporated into this new agreement. But President Trump was non-committal, saying, quote, we could have a separate deal or we could put it into this deal. In June, Mexico imposed tariffs on U.S. pork and other ag products in retaliation for American taxes on steel and aluminum. Those tariffs contributed to tumbling hog prices.
I do agree with the negotiation tactics that have been done. You hate to say it, yes, everybody has to eat. It's got to get somewhere in the world for production. Somebody's going to have to use it. Is it disheartening? Is it tough on some farm operations? Yes, but we're the farmer is the eternal optimist. There's always sun shining somewhere.
Moving forward, the U.S. Trade Representative intends to send a formal letter to Congress on the new deal. Robert Lighthizer believes it has congressional authority to move ahead with its current plan as a two-way deal. But some trade experts are less certain. Mickey Cantor, who served as trade representative when NAFTA was first enacted, says the administration will have to go back to Congress to ratify a bilateral agreement with Mexico. Farmers, analysts, and agribusiness owners seeing a very large soybean crop on the Pro-Farmer Midwest Crop Tour. Pro-Farmer releasing its numbers on Friday with soybean estimates of 4.68 billion bushels with an average yield of 53 bushels per acre. Both numbers are higher than USDA's August 10 report. The department has soybean production at 4.59 with an expected yield of 51.6 bushels per acre. Scouts telling AgDay they're worried a large bean crop will bring down price, especially if more trade deals are not sorted out soon.
My concern is this price of beans. If it's going to go down more, because with what Brazil is right now, they're being able to price their beans at a higher price, and I believe they're selling them. I think we've got really good weather here that for this fall. You know, other than the frost, nobody said that word this year yet, but other than a frost, that's the only thing that could slow down these beans. I just see them going down in price.
Brazil's still going to get their fair share of business. I'm worried we're going to add another 200 to 250 million bushels back on to our soybean balance sheet. And if you have the yield that the USDA is currently looking at or higher, there is a very distinct roadmap to a billion bushel carryover in soybeans or above.
Speaking of new numbers, the Pro-Farmer Midwest Crop Tour wrapped up late last week. Pro-Farmer adjusting some of its estimates from what scouts found in the field with samples. The South Dakota corn yield estimate is one number Pro-Farmer adjusted in its final synopsis from 178 to 171 bushels per acre. Part of the change is due to areas of the state under severe drought, areas Pro-Farmer did not sample.
We yield tested it several fields about 2 weeks ago. There were some places it was 187 bushel. And then I can go some places where there's no ears.
Swan Horse says federal crop adjusters started to come out to his area to see zeroed out soybeans 2 weeks ago. USDA releasing updated crop progress numbers for the week. Monday's crop progress report matches what Pro-Farmer Crop Scouts saw last week, an advanced corn crop. This week, 10% is mature, double the 5-year average. 61% is dented, 19 points ahead of average. Illinois is 27 points ahead. 68% of corn is still good to excellent. And the soybean crop is starting to drop leaves, 7% compared to 4%. 95% is setting pods. And the condition rating actually ticked 1 point higher from last week with 66% good to excellent. We're analyzing the Minnesota crop this morning. For crop comments, here's Mike.
Good morning, Betsy. Keith Allen in Goodhue, Minnesota, saying the corn crop looks great in his area. He even has a picture to prove it. This is because scouts on the Pro-Farmer Midwest Crop Tour saw a wide range of corn yields. Some fields in southern Minnesota were planted very late and have a long way to go before harvest. And you can see the differences between the Minnesota crop and this picture from Andrew Wolf, whose farm borders Martin County, Minnesota. He says all of his corn was planted in late May. The corn is not mature, and some 15-inch row beans in the area have 6 pods on average. Here's a look at the wind speed forecast. You can see kind of windy to start the day from the Great Lakes all the way down into western Texas. We'll see that wind continue in those same areas as we head through the afternoon, pick up in parts of the Four Corner region. Looks like tomorrow morning starts a little bit less windy, only breezy in spots, and then it does become breezier again in the eastern lakes and parts of the west. We'll have your forecast coming up, but first here are some hometown temps.
Keeping track of the shifting market prices has never been so easy. Get the latest commodity prices sent directly to your cell phone with market updates. Just text MARKETS8 to 31313 to get started.
Still to come on AgDay, with uncertainty in grain markets, is now a good time to invest in the farm. We'll take a closer look at analysis. And later, it's not Halloween, so why do we see dinosaur costumes on display? Details as we head in the country.
Join Andrew McCrae for Farming the Countryside, a farmer-focused podcast that is all about production agriculture. Farming the Countryside is available wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and is brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, the world's largest provider of crop inputs and services.
In agribusiness, markets reacted to a new trade deal with Mexico. Let's head to the CME for details.
Cattle jumps. That NAFTA breakthrough lifted the futures and really gave it a big boost, kind of unexpectedly. The market actually shrugged off that bearish cattle on feed report yesterday, and the tariff relief is really what we're looking at right now. Also, the feeders rallied. That long-term bullish momentum is really possible now, and we can see it as everyone's jumping back into the market when they have some idea that there's going to be an end to this tariff talk, to the problems with NAFTA, and this could possibly be just the beginning. Even though the tariffs are still in place with China, just the idea that there's going to be some relief ahead just gave the market a big boost. Now, interestingly enough, hogs were limit up today, and they were the ones that really had been taking it on the chin the whole time. Also, what's happened with the NAFTA talks is left Canada a little bit on ice right now. So as they come back in, that should definitely benefit this market again, and it has been oversold for a long time on the hog complex is what I'm talking about mostly. That's all from the floor at the CME Group. Here in Chicago, I'm Virginia McGathy.
With a lot of uncertainty in grain markets and the ag economy in general, is now a good time to invest in your own business. Tyne Morgan takes a closer look in this morning's analysis.
Here now with Chris Narayan. And Chris, when you look at the market today and for a producer that, let's say, is ready to invest, looking to invest somewhere, what is the best avenue to do that at this point?
Well, I don't know if there's any best way. I think everybody's going to be a little bit different. In some cases, it might be buying more land or renting more land to put in production. It might be diversifying their operations. It might be investing in some of the new technology. But you only do that if you can see what the payback is going to be and how that's going to increase your revenues, decrease your costs, hopefully both, and kind of planning it all out, seeing where your operation is today. If you add whatever it is that you're going to add, where's it going to take you, and making sure that that actually adds value to it rather than taking it away.
When you look at land as an investment, I mean, is it still a good idea to invest, or are there certain areas of the country where it's not a good idea to invest right now?
Well, I mean, in ag, there's going to be places that are, ripe for investment for sure on land, but land isn't the only thing. Like I said, the technology, diversifying your operations, maybe even doing joint ventures, there's no one size fits all, and I think that's the problem that most people get into is like, well, we can't do it here. I mean, I've got, a company that I talk to quite a bit. They're an ag company, and they were traditionally row crop, but now they've invested in the berry space, right? And because they found some opportunities there to diversify, and it's completely uncorrelated with what they're doing today. So I think when you look at the different opportunities like that, you've got to kind of weigh the cost benefit analysis on that.
Chris, it seems like we've seen more operations that were really diverse, like in the 80s and 90s, kind of just focus on one or two things. Do you think we're getting back to the point now where we're going to see more operations diversify, maybe not in the way that we've traditionally seen?
I think so. And there's a wave of consolidation. You have larger and larger farmers now that are out there, and they're able to have the economies of scale to be able to diversify. But in some cases, that consolidation has helped to kind of keep them where they're at.
Yeah, so, good point. All right, Chris, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Stay with us. We need to take a quick break, and then we'll have much more here on Ag Day.
To speak with Chris, call 901-472-1353. Advice, information, ideas, and more. If it's ag tech, it's in the Tech Tool Shed, your unbiased one-stop source for everything ag tech.
Welcome back to Ag Day with meteorologist Mike Hoffman. Mike, looks like the Corn Belt might get some rain.
Yeah, it'll start in the western Corn Belt, and as this whole front sags southward, that'll start to kind of spread eastward. South of that system, though, big dome of high pressure keeping the heat and humidity into most of the Corn Belt as well as the southeast. And as we head through time, we will see that suppressed a little bit farther to the south. So let's put the maps into motion. A couple areas of low pressure moving along that frontal system. There'll be some decent showers and thunderstorms, mainly during the afternoon and evening hours as we see this front move southward. So from the northern Great Lakes all the way down into the Kansas City area, our computer model is showing some pretty good thunderstorms by this evening, and that will continue across parts of Missouri, eastern Kansas. Those are areas that need the rain, no doubt about that. and we'll see scattered activity farther to the northeast as we head into tomorrow morning. And then through the day tomorrow, the activity over in Missouri will shift southward into Oklahoma, parts of Texas, Arkansas, and a strip along that cold front through the Ohio River Valley into the eastern Great Lakes. High pressure behind it is slightly cooler and a lot less humid than the air in front of that. Another system coming into the Pacific Northwest as we head through the second half of the week. There's a precipitation estimate over the past 24 hours. Some pretty heavy amounts in some areas, especially parts of Minnesota and northern Wisconsin, northern Michigan. Adding in the next 36 hours, you can see where our computer model puts down some heavy amounts. That would be nice. You folks have been getting missed a lot of times in northern Missouri, but that would sure be nice. I'm sure you could use some of that, although it might be too little too late in a lot of situations. But you can always need it for the future drought monitors, because in the future we'll need some of that moisture. You can see some hit and miss activity along the Gulf Coast as well. Temperatures this afternoon very hot south of that front. Lots of 90s, heat index values into the low 100-degree readings in places, but a lot cooler behind it. This afternoon temperatures only in the 60s across the northern plains. Lows down into the upper 40s, lower 50s tomorrow morning. Behind the front, still muggy though from the southern Great Lakes southward. And we'll see that slightly cooler air slowly pressing southward as we head through tomorrow afternoon. There's the jet stream. You can see the ridge over the east kind of gets knocked down a little bit by that weak trough coming through. We kind of look at a zonal flow situation as we head through much of this week through Labor Day, but the ridge kind of tries to hold Great Lakes in the northeast as we head into early next week. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. We head to Boise, Idaho. First of all, mostly sunny and comfortable today, high of 77. Texarkana, Texas, partly sunny, hot and humid, high of 93. And finally, Bay City, Michigan, partly sunny skies. There will be a thunderstorm in some areas, high around 87.
Still to come, the makers of tofurkey want their day in court to argue that it's meat. And the rigors of police horse training can include costumes. That's creepy costumes. Details when we head in the country.
Join Andrew McCrae for Farming the Countryside, a farmer-focused podcast that is all about production agriculture. Farming the Countryside is available wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and is brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, the world's largest provider of crop inputs and services.
While the U.S. and Mexico reached a new deal in trade between the two countries, Canada remained on the sidelines. One of the sticking points between the U.S. and Canada is Canada's supply management program, which protects its dairy farmers. It's a system of production, quotas, and import tariffs. There's also a major divide in the way disputes are resolved under NAFTA. Many ag groups welcome the news about the Mexico deal, but they also urge the administration to finish a deal with Canada. The National Corn Growers Association said in a statement, quote, "The trilateral relationship is important, and we urge President Trump to reconsider terminating the underlying agreement until full trilateral negotiations have been concluded and a new agreement is secured," end quote. NCGA says prematurely terminating the existing agreement would only undermine potential for economic certainty. In the battle over what should be defined as meat, vegetarian food maker Tofurkey filed a lawsuit Monday in Missouri attempting to defend its right to call its products, quote, sausage and hot dogs. The company says as long as the packaging makes clear what the ingredients are, it has every right to use meat terminology in its packaging. A Missouri state law is set to go into effect today that bars companies from misrepresenting products as meat if they're not from harvested livestock or poultry. The Missouri Cattlemen's Association, which supported the statute, says its concern is not with products like Tofurkey that make clear they're from plants. The group is more concerned about the emerging products of meat grown by culturing animal cells in a lab and whether they'll disclose how they were made once they're on the market. Up next, aren't you amazed to see how well-behaved mounted police horses behave in a crowd? You might not believe some of their training they undergo. Details just ahead.
In the Country, sponsored by the all-new Kubota Sidekick, a utility vehicle that lets you climb more, cover more, tow more, and enjoy more. Visit KubotaUSA.com.
Kansas City police are going old school to train their horses, and when we say old, I mean dinosaur age. Yes, they're putting a little Tyrannosaurus Rex into their training. Outrageous costumes and large inflatables are part of the training for Kansas City police horses. Police officers want the horses comfortable in any situation so they don't spook while on the beat. During a recent training session, someone in a dinosaur costume ran in front of the horses. The horses backed up but didn't bolt. That's what the police want.
You got to know that that horse is under you and he's going to be confident and not, freak out. Somebody's got an umbrella or waving something in the air or whatever. You've got to know that he's solid, before you ever put him into that kind of situation.
Right. Police are seeking donations of more costumes and inflatables. The stranger, the better. Well, that's all the time we have this morning. We're glad you tuned in. For all of us here at AgDay, I'm Betsy Gibbon. Have a great day.